So let's look at content for Module 2, which is where we start talking about research planning, chapters 4 through 6 in our text. And for your deliverables this week, we're going to have our author guidelines and questions. So let's take a look at chapters 4 through 6. This first chapter here is the formulation of a research question or your hypothesis. How do you develop that? And you really can't do it until you've come up with some ideas, you've kicked them around, and then you've looked at what the literature says, because the literature is going to help you identify those gaps in knowledge. You don't want to do something that's done to death. You want to do something that looks at a problem in a different way or maybe in a new aspect. And then from this gap in knowledge, you can develop a research problem or a question that hasn't been analyzed to death. And then your aims or hypothesis, what do you think is going to happen based on this problem? And then your different methods of how you're going to get your data, or how you're going to sample your population. What design are you going to use? How do you get that? How do you obtain the data? And then making sure you would stay within the appropriate ethical realm. On campus here, whenever we want to do research, we have to submit our proposal to the Human Subjects Committee, and they review it to make sure we're not violating any ethics considerations, and they will tell us when that's appropriate. We're also going to look at, in Chapter 5, how we sample different methods, and it goes through different types, some basic issues in sampling, which you probably have understand from basic statistics class, some representative samples, how this looks similar to the entire population, what sample size we need, how that sample size is correlated to sampling error. Sample size, there we go. Purposeful sampling, which is what we do a lot of times because that's what's convenient for us. How we establish external validity, and then just a good summary of that sampling method. And then our last chapter here is chapter 6, and we talk about the ethics that are associated with research, the principles upon which that's built, and a quick summary for that. So looking at our course, we've got this content here. We're looking at how to formulate that research question, some different ideas about sampling method. This is one of my favorite things, the story of Henrietta Lacks. I require students in a research class to have read this before in nursing research class. This is a really interesting start. So read up on that. And then author guidelines, and how using author guidelines will help you move forward with knowing what to write and how to write it.